Hey guys, my name is Alicia. Welcome back to my channel. So if you don't know, I sell used clothing on Depop and Poshmark, and at the end of every month, I make a video about what I sold. Basically, I go into detail about every item that I sold, and then at the end, we're going to calculate how much money I ended up making for the month of February. Okay, so this month I only ended up selling 12 items, which is definitely on the lower end for me, especially compared to last month where I sold like freaking almost 30, I think, items. So my sales definitely slowed down a little bit this month. But I did sell a lot of pretty interesting things, and I think my profit margins were a little bit bigger than normal, but we're gonna find out. So out of those 12 sales, I ended up selling 4 on Poshmark and 8 on Depop. So this month, Depop was kind of like my main selling platform, I guess. I sold the most things on Depop, which is interesting because the past few months, Poshmark has kind of been my bigger selling platform. So it's good to know that Depop was able to pick up the slack this month. And just keep in mind throughout this video, I do get a lot of my inventory for free. So unless otherwise stated, just assume that it didn't cost me anything to acquire the items unless I say otherwise. So the very first thing that I sold in February was this black and yellow split t-shirt. I actually reworked the shirt. It used to be 2 shirts, combined them into one. And I think it's interesting because I actually sold quite a few like handmade reworked items this month, and this was one of them. So I ended up selling that t-shirt for $25 plus free shipping. And after all of Depop's fees and all the shipping fees and everything, I ended up making $10.02. So I was happy with that. I think that's a good profit for a t-shirt. And I was really happy to sell that one because the person who I sold it to was so freaking sweet. And she said she like found me from my YouTube videos, so like shout out to you if you're watching this video. You are such a pleasure to talk to, and thank you so much for buying something from my shop. So the next thing that I sold on Depop was this white floral textured spaghetti strap dress, and this has actually been in my shop for pretty long time, probably at least a year. So I was happy to finally sell it. I think this person asked me for a discount, and I was happy to give her a discount because I had been trying to sell it for so long. So I ended up selling that for $12 plus $10 shipping. I ended up splitting the profits with a friend, so I only ended up making $3.71 on this dress, which is not a lot, but like I said, I was still happy to get rid of it. So next on Depop, I had a bundle sale. This person purchased my cloud patchwork bucket hat and my Love the Library pin. So this cloud bucket hat was actually the second reworked / handmade item that I ended up selling this month, and it actually ended up selling super quickly. I don't remember exactly when I made it and posted it, but I think it definitely sold within like at least 2 weeks, which is really quick for me. So my handmade pieces are probably like my favorite things to sell because it's just, I don't know, it's just like really fun and really cool that people are interested in buying something that you made. So I ended up selling that bundle for $45 plus free shipping, and I ended up making $22.39 off of both of those items. So not like a huge profit considering this was a handmade item, but I was still happy with that profit margin. So next on Depop, another handmade reworked item that I sold was this needlepoint kitty denim jacket. This one honestly sold pretty freaking quickly too. I made like a whole video where I created this jacket, and it ended up selling really not too long after. I kind of had a feeling it was gonna sell, but with handmade stuff, you're always like worried, like, I don't know, maybe no one's gonna like this, but I ended up selling it for $70 plus $20 shipping because this was actually going to the US. And for this particular item, I did have to pay for the denim jacket and the pillow that I used to create it, and both of those things cost me $23. So at the end of the day, I ended up making $32.90, which is actually quite a high profit margin for me. I was super happy with that. I think that was a fair price considering it was like reworked handmade. So next on Depop, I sold this bundle of this RW & Co orange long sleeve dress and these long purple over the knee socks. So I ended up selling both of those for $35 plus free shipping. And once again, I did split these profits with a friend because they were her items that I was selling. I was helping her sell. So I ended up making $9.07 from it, so I was totally happy with that profit. And then on Depop, I ended up selling this vintage shell puffer coat. This one actually ended up taking a while to sell. I really had a lot of faith in it and I thought it was gonna sell really quickly. It did get quite a bit of attention, but I think I had it listed a little bit high. I think I had it for $60, including shipping. So I ended up discounting it down to $42, and that's when it ended up selling. I ended up making $20.56, which I was totally happy with for this jacket. So that was actually my last sale on Depop for the month, which I find really interesting because the whole beginning of February was all Depop sales, and then the whole end of February was Poshmark sales. So that worked out really interestingly. So the first thing I ended up selling on Poshmark was this Aritzia Wilfred leopard print sweater. So someone ended up sending me an offer for $15, I believe. And although that was kind of a low price for this like Aritzia top, it was like an older style and no one else had sent me any offers, so I accepted it. And I ended up making $10.53, which I was happy with considering I got this shirt sweater for free and I didn't really know if it was even gonna sell, so $10 I'm happy with. So next on Poshmark, I sold this metric band t-shirt. I find band t-shirts are honestly pretty easy to sell. They just don't sell for the most money. So I ended up selling this for, I think someone sent me an offer for $12 and I accepted that. I ended up making $7.53, which is a little bit on the lower end, but for a t-shirt, I think that's pretty good. So next on Poshmark, I ended up selling these Citizens of Humanity skinny jeans. This is probably one of my favorite sale of this month, and the reason is because it sold so quickly. So I was out thrifting, kind of like looking for inventory. These jeans were just kind of like sitting at the end of a rack, and obviously like the brand name really caught my attention because I know those are really expensive jeans. When I saw that they were only $5 at Value Village, I picked them up because I knew that was a really good deal considering how valuable these jeans are. Now, I've never sold Citizens of Humanity before, so I was a little bit nervous. I didn't know how well they would do. Before I left the store, I did look up on Poshmark and looked up other prices of Citizen jeans that had been selling and seeing like what prices they'd been selling for. So ultimately I decided to pick them up, and I'm really happy I did pick them up because they sold within like an hour or two of when I posted them. This is probably one of the quickest sales I've ever made, and if I waited a little bit longer I probably could have got more money for them, but someone sent me a pretty good offer for them, so I accepted it. I ended up selling them for $45. So after all of Poshmark's fees and everything, I ended up making $34.83, and because I did purchase these jeans, at the end of the day I ended up making $28.63. So that was a pretty dang good profit margin, especially considering I sold them so quickly. So next time I'm at the thrift and I see Citizens of Humanity, I'm definitely going to be picking them up again because clearly they're in really high demand on Poshmark at least, and I was very proud of that sale. And then lastly, right at the end of the month, I ended up selling on Poshmark this Massimo trench coat. I actually ended up selling an offer to likers for $25 and somebody accepted it, which I was super happy about because I had this jacket for quite a while. So I ended up making $15.90, which was honestly more than I was expecting to make because I really didn't know if this piece was gonna sell or not. So I was super happy about that. So that is everything that I ended up selling this month. Like I said, it's not a lot, but there were some pretty interesting things in there and some pretty high profit margins. I had some pretty dry weeks this month where I literally made no sales and I was getting like a little nervous and a little bit discouraged. But I think one of the main reasons why it was so slow for me is because I haven't gotten any new inventory in quite a while, so things are starting to like slow down a bit. Even though I still do have quite a bit of inventory, you kind of have to keep the ball rolling by getting like new items here and there. So because of that, I did already end up going thrifting, looking for inventory for my store, which is actually going to be next week's video, a thrift with me. So I'm very excited for that. Stick around if you want to see my thrift with me video. I also realized this month too that, you know, out of the 12 pieces I sold, 3 of them were reworked pieces. So clearly my like upcycled handmade reworked stuff is doing pretty well and gives me some pretty high profit margins. So that is also something I'm really been trying to focus on, is creating some truly one of a kind unique pieces, because clearly they do pretty well for me. Another reason why I think my sales were a little bit slower this month is because I've really been trying to not accept really low offers, and basically I'm trying to make sure that the lowest profit I make is $10, because for me, if I don't make at least a $10 profit margin, it's honestly not really worth it when you think about it, all the time I put into photographing and shipping and everything. So I realized I need to raise my own standards a bit. So I think I'm coming to realize that I would rather make less sales that are going to make me more profit rather than a bunch of sales that are going to make me less profit, if that makes sense. So those are just kind of like my thoughts about this month, but without further ado, let's crunch the numbers and find out how much I made this month. Okay, so this month I ended up making $161.24. So that was honestly more than I thought I was going to make, like considering I only sold 12 items. Even though it's low, I'm still really happy about that. And my average profit per item actually ended up being $13.41. So I'm super happy about that. That was actually my goal. I mentioned in my January video that I wanted to increase that. So I'm really happy that I raised that number because, like I mentioned before, even though I'm making less sales, I'm getting more value out of the time that I put into this, right? So that is going to be my goal continuing forward, to try to always make at least a $10 profit, and in this case $13 was even higher, so that's really good. So that was everything that I have to talk about for the month of February. Hopefully March picks up a little bit. Like I said, I have some new inventory hitting the store, so hopefully those things will sell and it'll help my sales for March. And as always, I hope this was helpful for you guys as resellers to see what kind of things are selling at this current time. And I want to know your thoughts about like literally anything I've talked about in this video. Leave your comments below. Let me know how your February went. Maybe it went really good for you. Am I the only one who had like a slow February? I don't know. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.